Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at the 1 to 4 player game, Tiny Epic Quest. We're going to quest through the land and try to be the best adventurer. Let's go ahead down the table here. I'll give you a general overview of the game, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so this is Tiny Epic Quest. So in Tiny Epic Quest, you're going to be going throughout this game through 5 different rounds to try to get the most points possible. Now I set up this game for a 4-player game, but I only put out 1 player board just for room's sake so you can see what's happening. But this is going to be the main way that you're going to plan out how to win the game. The game's going to have this little marker here, and it's going to go and track the rounds. You're going to go over 5 different rounds. And at the end of the game, you're going to score for your magic that you got, for your quests you completed, and for the goblins you've slain. The number of each of them is here, and then you go across and you get those points. So you see, if you don't go up on the magic track, I'll show you all this in a second, but if you don't go up the magic track at all, you're going to lose 4 points. If you don't complete any quests at all, you're going to lose 3 points. If you don't defeat any goblins at all, you're going to lose 2 points. So you're going to want to try to balance these out. And other than your legendary items, which I'll show you in a second, these are the only points that you're going to get throughout the game, at the end of the game. So the other points are as if you can actually get these legendary items. And you can get these legendary items by completing these quests at these different temples. And if you complete this temple and then this temple, can't be in the same round, you will gain the sword. And for each of these epic weapons that you get 4 points at the end of the game. And each of the weapons have these cool abilities that are printed out on the player board. Other things of note is in the game, you're going to start off with your maximum power as being 3, which is denoted by this little symbol, and your maximum hearts are going to be 6. These are going to be the maximums that you can't go past unless you raise them throughout the game. And there's different ways of raising them. Well, there's only 2 different ways to raise them. One for hearts is you're going to be slay a goblin. If you slay a goblin, you will go up until you can hit the maximum of 10. And for power, you're going to go up 1 per magic level that you go up. If your health ever gets to 0, you don't lose the game. What ends up happening is you are going to lose any quests that you were currently on that you didn't complete. Basically, all your meeples go back to your home castle, and you will lose 1 magic level. So you don't want to die in the game. You'll respawn at full health and all that fun stuff, but you don't want that to happen. The first player is going to get this little quest token, and it's going to be this side up. If someone completes a quest at the end of the round, it'll go to this side. And basically all that really means is at the end of the round, if no one completed a quest, the quest on the leftmost side or rightmost side gets discarded. The special thing about quests is you have to have at least 1 temple and 1 movement quest on here. If you don't, you're going to discard cards from the right and move them over until you do. So this is going to go over 2 different phases for each round. The first phase is going to be the movement phase. There's going to be exactly 4 movements regardless of the number of players. And that means, like in a 3-player game, the first player is going to select 2 different movements. Each player in turn order is going to select a movement. When they select a movement, they're going to select from one of these 5. Like the griffin will go diagonally, any direction. So diagonally. These are locations. So when you go diagonally, you're going diagonally by cards. When you go horizontal or vertical, you're going by cards. River raft is pretty much vertical on a river. So up and down. By ship, you can move on the outside of the board. So if you have a meeple here, you can move them anywhere on the outside. Horses are going to be horizontal movement as far as you want to go. And by foot is going to be 1 space or one card. Now, when you select this, you get to make the movement, and then every other player in turn order gets to make the same movement. If they decide they don't want to make the movement, they can idle. If they idle and they have any characters in a castle, they will gain a health and a power. So that's really important because that gets a way of like healing up and stuff. And sometimes you don't want to move because you're at the locations you want to be for doing things. There's several different locations on the board and they all do different things. But when you do your movement, some of the locations you can go to, we're going to do the easy ones first. If you go to these ones, you'll notice that they have all 4 of the different colors. So all 4 of the different heroes can go here. If you go here, you just simply do the thing on here. So I gain 2 power for each hero you have outside your castle. Done. If I go to the goblin spot, only 1 person can be there. So that's it. Once you go there, and you can only have you can never double up on any of your meeples except for at the castle. So you can't have your same meeple anywhere other than at the castle. If you go to the goblin spot, you're just going to park your guy on there, and basically what you're going to try to do is in the adventuring phase, which we'll go over in a little bit, or even during this phase potentially, you're going to try to keep hitting this goblin until this little arrow hits this skull, and then you have defeated the goblin. You'll go back home. Since whenever you return to the castle, you also get the benefits. So you'll get the heart and the power, and you will, of course, go up on maximum heart or maximum health, and you will have this guy for at the end of the game to score some points. We're going to go over the spell track in the middle of it because it's a little complicated. That's the hardest part to explain in the game, but one of the most important, which is where a lot of points can come from. The other ones are going to be simple. They're going to be these temple tracks. You're going to just put your guy on there. Only 2 meeples can be there, and they have to be a different color. You can go to this location at the same time. And basically, when you resolve the adventuring phase and you roll the dice, if there's any scrolls, you get to move along this track. You have to have double scrolls to move here and here. And on your card, you notice that you can spend 2 power, if you have it available, to count as a scroll or a torch. And that means if I rolled 1 scroll or someone else rolled a scroll and I want to use it, I can spend 2 power to be the other scroll and still move down. Once you get to the bottom, you complete the temple, and after you rest during the adventuring phase, you get the benefit of that happening, or that accomplishment. You can only complete up to 1 quest during the main phase per person. So but during adventure, I can complete as many as I want. So typical quests that you're going to complete during the adventuring phase are going to be movement quests. And movement quests are just going to be basically simply what they say. If you have one of your meeples pretty much diagonally across here, you're going to immediately win this quest. You're going to get the reward on the bottom, and you're going to put it over in your area. And the more quests you complete, the more points you get at the end of the game, which is really, really good. So the other type of quest is going to be temple quests. Temple quests are really cool because once you complete the temple, which you can complete it during the day phase before the adventuring phase, because some places let you move up a temple track, completing it or whatnot, you get these really cool items that you can use throughout the game. And you'll just pull that item that you've got from the quest off this rack and place it on your item meeple, or one of your item meeples, and each item meeple has 2 hands, so you can have up to 6 items. If you get more than 6 items available, you'll just store them on the card over by your player board. So you don't lose them or anything, but you don't get the ability or benefit as you're going along. So finally, that leaves these special spots here with these symbols. And basically what you're going to do is all players can have at least one in here, and these little symbols correspond to here. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to see how far this mushroom is going to move along this track and guess where you are comparatively to that symbol. So if this mushroom is here at the end of the adventuring phase and I pick the snake, I get to move my guy, since he's off the board, onto the snake. If I picked the spider and I get this guy all the way over here, I get to move up to the spider once I rest, which is level 3, and so on. So you're looking at these symbols and you're looking at how far you want to try to push this mushroom. The issues with the mushroom we're going to go over in a minute when we go to the adventuring phase. But basically, you'll do those 4 movements. You're going to move out through the board, position your people as you want, and remember, everything's communal. So when you pick this movement, everyone else gets to do the movement. And the same thing's going to happen during the adventuring phase. So whoever's the first player is going to go into the adventuring phase. And right here, it basically says how the roll is going to be resolved. You're going to roll these dice and see what you got. If you roll any goblins, the first goblin goes to you and you'll get 1 damage. The next goblin goes to the player clockwise and so on. Same with the power, you'll get 1 power, and if you roll more, that goes to the next player and so on. If you get a mushroom, this guy will just go 1 space down the mushroom track. And then on the bottom are these little cool icons. So if you get the torches or the scrolls, that helps people move along, which everyone gets the benefit of these. Gets to move along those different temple tracks to try to get to the bottom and resolve them. If you get the fighting token, everybody gets to punch a goblin if they're in front of one. And you're going to let the next player roll, and they're going to resolve the dice and keep going. Now, when you feel that you need to stop, you're going to rest, and you'll just flip your guy over to the rest side. If you flip your guy over to the left side, you get a 1 heart or 1 power. You also get to resolve any temples you completed, and so on. Once you resolve a temple, you get the reward. So your reward's generally going to be moving one of these legendary items down the track. In addition, your meeple's going to go back to your castle, and you get the 1 heart or the 1 power. I think I said 1 heart and 1 power earlier, but you get to pick one or the other. You don't get both. If this temple matched that you completed, so I say completed the ice temple, matches one of these quests, you actually get the quest too. So you get to put the quest on your board, and you'll get the item with it off of the rack, and you can place it on one of your characters. If you don't plan this correctly and your health ever gets to 0 during this phase, you will die. Your characters all get returned. Any quests that you obviously were going on tracks that you didn't complete or forfeit, dying is bad. So why wouldn't you just keep rolling forever? Well, one, eventually, if it wasn't for this, goblin hits will eventually take you down to too much health. But this becomes more and more dangerous as it goes. The 0 and the 1 are fine, but once you get to here, you will lose 2 health per goblin, and you're not going to get any power. If you go here all the way to the 3, which you may want to do if you click that symbol, you're going to lose 3 health per goblin. And it doesn't have to be your turn to lose the 3 health, because remember, the person that rolled gets the first die. If there's a duplicate, the second player, next person gets the hit with the goblin, and so on. But also, these mushrooms become bad. Every other mushroom rolled after that is going to cost you a health. And again, this one spreads out the damage. If the player's rested, they're skipped. So if everyone rested and you're the only one around, you're going to get all this damage. And again, you don't get any power from the power die if you roll a power on the die. So eventually everyone's going to want to rest. Once everyone's rested, you're going to refill the board for any of the goblins that got knocked out. So you'll put more goblins out. And any goblins that didn't get attacked get flipped to the red side. And why that's important is if you pass through a region with a red goblin, they're going to flip back over, but you have to spend a power to make it past them. Now, if you're ending in that region, where you're picking one of the sides, you don't need to do that. You don't have to spend the power. So if I end in this region here and I want to fight the goblin, I just flip them over and I fight the goblin, or I go here and it doesn't bother me. But if you're going through the region, you have to spend a power. And when you spend the power, the goblin will flip over to the green side to get past. If you can't spend the power, you can't do the movement. And remember, if you can't move, you can always idle. And if you have anyone in the castle, you get a benefit. You're going to continue this on it until you get to the 5th round. And at the end of the 5th round, you're going to tally up how many things of these 3 different things you completed. You get your total points. And you get your 4 points per legendary item that you have acquired. Whoever has the most points wins. So in a nutshell, that's going to be how you play Tiny Epic Quest. Let's go head back up to the table. And I'll give you my final thoughts. I really like Tiny Epic Quest. It is a great game. It's one of my favorite Tiny Epic line games. I really like the different options that you have to go out there and which one you're going to capitalize on, but you have to think about the other ones. You have to have like a semi-balanced strategy. You still need to go fight the goblins, even if you're not going to go all out on the goblins, just to get enough not to lose points. You should. Your magic, you can get a lot of points, but it takes a lot of work to get everything lined up and a lot of resources to get that up there. And you risk knocking out your hero and losing some of your progress on stuff. You can get those legendary items, but you got to get through those temples, so you're going to push your luck trying to get those scrolls and torches. Just a lot of different, or you can go after the quest actually too. I forgot about them. You get the quest. The more quests you get, the more abilities that you get for your characters, and the points you get, more points you get at the end of the game. So there's a lot of really cool things that you can do throughout this game. And the maps themselves, just the orientation on it changes the game pretty much between each one. And I really love the communal movement, and the communal dice rolls are really nice. So in the beginning, when everyone's not rested, you don't have to worry too much about rolling duplicate goblins and stuff, because those will go to the players beside you after you take the first one. But later on, when people start to rest, we have to worry a little bit, because you don't want a whole bunch of them, because you could knock yourself out. So really good game. Really one of my favorite Tiny Epic games. If you like Tiny Epic games, this one is a really good one to check out. If you're looking for a fun, easy to teach, plays in a relatively short amount of time, adventure game, I would highly recommend Tiny Epic Quests. Thank you for watching.